Hey everyone, just thought I'd post another video update vlog on my healing progress on my corrective laser eye surgery that I had done on December 31st for my left eye and on January 9th on my right eye. So I'm coming beyond week 3 for my left eye, and I'm exactly at the 2 week mark for my right eye. And I believe in my last video on my channel post, I think it's titled Day 13 Complications and Frustrations, I had sort of highlighted that my vision in my eyes had not really improved, and sort of some of the complications that I was made aware of, that my eyes didn't like preservative drops or drops that contain preservatives, and the fact that I'm just a slow healer, and well, just things, everything under the sun that would hinder my ability to sort of get my vision back to acceptable levels just simply wasn't happening. So a couple interesting things have occurred since that last video, and it's actually kind of scary, but I can only laugh about it at this point because knowing my luck, anything that can go wrong has gone wrong, and then some. Today's January 23rd, and so basically at the beginning of this week, I believe it was Jan 19th, I had a follow-up appointment, which is usually every 2 days in the week, with my ophthalmologist. And so they said, hey, how's your vision? Let's check it out. And, they were kind of surprised that my vision was actually declining. I think I was 20/90 last time in my eyes, and my right eye, prior to removing this protective contact lens, was actually not bad. I could actually see my kid's face, and I could sort of see things, late at night. However, after that last video, things went downhill, and then on the 19th, they did a vision measurement, and I was in the 2135 visual range, which is even worse than 20/90. And I said to the ophthalmologist, I'm like, how the hell does your vision get progressively worse and worse and worse, especially when your eyes have been, at least this left eye, is coming up to like the 1 month mark. And so they thought that was really strange, and there was no infection, the corneal layer had healed, and they thought, maybe it's just because I'm a slow healer. And so they thought, okay, well, I'm back again in 2 days. Let's check things up again. And they asked the usual questions: do you feel pain? Do you see dramatic shifts in your vision? Yada yada yada. And the answers were no. It's still awful, and it has been awful constantly. I don't feel dryness necessarily, and I don't feel any pain. So they sent me home, and then, interestingly enough, on that Monday night, so on the 19th, I started getting some sort of throbbing pains in my left eye. And then all of a sudden I started seeing white spots, and then experiencing pretty bad vertigo. And the white spots I was seeing in my eyes was actually equivalent to, the way I could describe it is, imagine someone taking a camera flash and taking your picture with the flash in close proximity to your eyes, and then how sort of after the flash pops, you sort of have that afterlight effect in your eyes, as if they burn like a bright light into your retina temporarily. And it's sort of all spotty and flashy and sparkly and what have you. And that seemed to come quite often, and it was giving me headaches. And at times it was actually sort of making me tipsy when I walk around the house. And I thought, okay, maybe I'm getting sick, or maybe it was just vertigo. It was when your blood rushes away from your head when you get up too fast. And I thought, okay, well maybe that's why, or maybe it's because my health is no good. I don't know. And so again on Tuesday it was really bad, and then I thought, like I just don't even feel well at this point. And so I went to bed quite early, and my light sensitivity on Tuesday was absolutely insane. Like I had to wear sunglasses inside a dimly lit home because my eyes felt like they were being burned. And then so I've never had this problem prior to this, just Monday night and Tuesday. And of course, then Wednesday rolls around, and then I go see my ophthalmologist again, and they go, any changes? And I described in great detail, like how I always describe things. That I have all these issues, and I go, is it because my eye is now finally deciding to heal? And then of course they do the vision test, and they say, hey, tell me what's the letter in the middle, and it's like literally one single letter on the eye chart, and it's the letter P, but I can't see it because there's this white square in the middle that's flashing away in my left eye, and even my right eye is kind of doing some weird things now, and it can't see because it's only 2 weeks. Not even 2 weeks into the corrective procedure, and I tell the technician, I go, I can't. I go, there's like some white flashing squares in my vision here, and it won't go away. And then the ophthalmologist finally walks in the room, and then she goes, I want to check your eye pressures because because we normally don't do it this early on, but because something isn't right, based on all the things that you've told the sort of the intake technician. And so interestingly enough, The ophthalmologist checks my eye pressure, and then it turns out that my eye pressures, in my left eye at least, are dangerously high. Dangerously high. And then my right eye is also sort of starting to increase from what normal levels should be. And so prior to my laser eye surgery, my eye pressures were like 17, 14. 17 left eye, 14 right eye. When they measured it on Wednesday, it was 44 on my left and 24 on the right. Now, basically what that means is that your fluid pressure inside your eyeball is elevated, and it's pushing against your optic nerve that's at the back of your eyeball, and it's essentially, the water pressure is so high that it's crushing and restricting this optic nerve from functioning properly. And it's actually what happens when people get glaucoma or they get eye disease, where the optic nerve is being crushed to death because of this high internal eye pressure. In fact, I have a friend, a colleague of mine, that has actually lost his vision, that's around my age, because of high internal eyeball pressure. And it's really scary when you know someone that's actually gone through that, to suddenly be that individual where you're being told, oh, by the way, you have insanely dangerous levels of high internal eyeball pressure and you're crushing your optic nerve. Like, well, wait a minute, I haven't done anything differently. What the hell's causing this? And so it turns out that, lucky me, I fall into 10% of the category of people that are called steroids responders. So as you may recall, any laser eye surgery procedure requires you to use steroid drops. In my case, I was using a product called FML that was 0.1%, and I stopped using that very early on because I had preservatives. And I wasn't healing. Then they decided to give me prednisolone, 0.5% preservative-free minims. And so I'm using this aggressively 4 to 5 times a day in both eyes because my epithelium wouldn't heal. And so this is a steroid drop, and I guess one of the side effects is, if you're a steroid responder, that whether you take these through your eyes or through orally, whatever, any type of steroids you take into your body can actually cause people like me to have high IOP, high intraocular pressures. And so thus it's actually a significant enough problem that I need to let future eye doctors know that I have this issue, as well as my family doctor. So it's kind of scary. But anyway, so when they measured the pressures, super high, 44, 24, and the eye ophthalmologist said, that's why you're seeing vertigo, and this is why you can't see, and this is why your eye is not allowing you to focus. Your vision's all messed up because of that. And so thank goodness I told them about it, because you can actually wreck your optic nerve. And so right away, that day, they made me take oral tablets. I think it's called Diamox, which is basically an oral diuretic, I believe, that basically reduces the amount of water inside your eye, so to speak, to drop the pressure. And then they also gave me a whole cocktail of eye drops. I think there was 4 or 5 different eye drops that they had to instill into each eye right away. And then they made me sit around for like an hour to 2 hours for it to take effect. And then, of course, then they remeasured the eye afterwards. And it's interesting because those drops in that oral tablet I had to take dropped all the eye pressures down to like 9 and 20. And that was just after like an hour and 15 minutes, which was pretty impressive, considering this was at 44 and 24 earlier. And then, of course, they gave me the pills, and then they gave me these drops now called Combigin, which I'm supposed to use every 12 hours with preservatives, so now my eyes are irritated again. To use in my eyes. And so now fast forward to today, which is Friday, they had to recheck the pressures, and now luckily I'm at 9 and 9, and they've changed up yet again my eye drop dosing routine to prevent pressure buildup. And then they had to do a whole host of eye tests to make sure I actually didn't fry my eyes. And so, long story short, I didn't, and it's because we caught it just in time. Not just in time. We caught it very early on, and so they said it was a very temporary thing, and I didn't crush anything internally in my eyeballs, so I'm golden. Now, $1,000,000 question is, can I see? And the answer is yes, better for sure, especially after they reduced the pressure. My vision went from 2135, believe it or not, to a supposed 2040 to even possibly a 2030. In the left eye, and of course the right eye is still an awful 2060 maybe, 2070, and so I'm actually legally allowed to drive because this is officially considered 2030, which heaven forbid. I mean, things are still pretty blurry, but I am going to go back to work next Monday. I have to, and so It's actually quite interesting. So this whole ordeal with laser eye surgery, with PRK laser eye surgery, most people, at least based on the average, at least what the sales brochures will tell you, is 7 to 10 days is the average healing time before your vision, normally should return back to acceptable, usable levels. In my case, chances are it's going to be a month before it's really at acceptable levels. At least I can see my kids now. Bright lights don't bother me. Yes, I still have dry eyes, and yes, I have like awful vision for the most part. But in the grand scheme of things, at least my eyeballs won't explode, and at least now I can see my kids running around, in close proximity, and I can even watch TV late at night for maybe half an hour. So that's sort of a saving grace. So would I do it again, knowing what I know today? Probably not. The risks, had I known the risks and sort of the after effects of those risks were as bad as they have been for me, I don't know if there's value in it. I mean, I've been away from work for God knows how many weeks now. I'm sure my boss wants to kill me. And, I don't know if it's necessarily false advertising on the clinic's part. I mean, they actually pioneered laser eye surgery in Canada, so it's not like they have a bad reputation. It just turns out that luck of the draw that, I'm practically allergic to everything under the sun, and the fact that I'm a slow as hell healer, and that just makes everything that much worse. So anyways, I'm going to post another video update in about a week's time, and sort of share sort of what I've had to go through going back to work, staring in front of a computer screen for the next 8.5 hours, Monday to Friday. See you soon.